Welcome back to My Time Movie Network. I'm your host, Christina Sturgeon, and today we have an incredible guest with us. She is a director and producer behind many impactful films, including the most recent, Beyond the Gaze, Jule Campbell's Swimsuit Issue. Please join me in welcoming Jill Campbell. Jill, it is such a pleasure to be sitting down with you, and I loved your documentary, Beyond the Gaze. It was incredible.
Thank you. I mean, you put so much blood, sweat, tears, years of work, so I just really love hearing that.
People were like, oh, it's gratuitous. That's because they didn't know the whole picture.
Women who support women who see the beauty in women, why would you not want to support them?
She changed my life.
That issue is seen by an estimated 50 million people every year. 1/3 of them women. That might not be what you'd expect. But then again, Jule Campbell is not what you'd expect either.
If you respect beauty, you've nourished your soul. Oh my God.
I've been a documentarian for 20 years, and I was waiting for the right time to approach Jule about it. And I knew I wanted to make one about her for many, many years, and it was just never the right time. And then during the pandemic, she was living on the farm, and Bruce, her son, who's my ex-husband, which is kind of complicated. We're a modern family, moved in with her, and I'm very close with her.
I love you.
Love you too. I would just go and bring them meals and stay with them and cook and just keep her company. And she just wanted to tell me her stories, and she was just a font of information and amazing stories. And it just felt like the right time at that point. And I just kept taking my iPhone out and filming her. And then I was like, can I come back with my actual professional cameras? And Bruce and Julie said okay, and so it was very natural.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be, because she was in her 90s and she wanted to tell her story. She had meant to write a book when she retired, and she never got around to it. So this was her book, and I think it's even better because you really get the essence of who she was.
100%.
Yeah.
So how did you get into filmmaking?
So I was a theater major. I studied theater in college. And after college, I worked as a producer. I worked in New York's Public Theater. I worked in a production with Morgan Freeman was my first professional job, and he was in Taming of the Shrew, and I was a production assistant. And
so great.
Yeah, and I was kind of like a film minor in college. I was a theater major, and I also was a playwright. I wrote plays, and I studied structure. I studied writing, and for many, many years, probably 20 years. And I fell into documentary. I was working for an artist, and his girlfriend was making a documentary, and they asked me, they knew my background, they asked me to hop on board, and I kind of got very lucky. I got paid to learn the art of documentary. Like I ended up running their production company for 6 years, and
wow,
and kind of got paid to go to film school. It was pretty awesome.
That is amazing. It was also meant to be.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
And when you're prepping for a documentary, how is it different than when you're prepping for a scripted feature or a scripted series?
Well, you have to do a scripted series is you have the script, and a documentary you don't. So you know what the story might be in your mind, but you have to be really open to all the possibilities of the story. So, and everyone preps a little bit differently. Like I go in, you do as much research as possible. When I'm prepping for a documentary, I will have like 20 books on my bedside table that have everything to do with the subject. Wow. Like for this, I had like lots of books about like feminism, second wave feminism, books on the modeling industry, books by models. And so I just want to kind of equip myself with as much research and information And, you know, you kind of have an idea of what the story is, but you have to be open to allowing the story to unfold as you're working on it.
And then how did you go about getting different talent and models and people to speak for the documentary?
I mean, Kathy Ireland called Julie every Sunday when she was in her 90s. They had a very, very special relationship. And one day Kathy called and we were there filming, and she told Kathy that there were cameras on her. She's like, I'm being filmed. And Kathy's like, oh. And Julie put me on the phone with Kathy, who I've known for many, many years. And I told Kathy what we were doing, and Kathy kind of was really, really supportive about it. So she was like the first person that hopped on board and supported me, and we kind of self-funded that interview, and it was pretty amazing. And then before you know it, I just started to think about all the women that Julie was the closest to and the people that she mentioned to me throughout the years. So it was Rashumba, it was Carol Alt, it was Paulina, and they loved Julie so much. They just wanted to do it. It blew me away, like Tyra Banks. And I mean, I think it's just what's beautiful about this film is it's truly about women supporting other women and giving back to your mentors. And I mean, how often do we do that? We have to do that more often. And these women, I'm forever grateful. They might not have known my career or my work, and they just had blind faith in me because they loved Julie and they knew that her story needed to be told.
Now, what did you learn about Julie through the process that you didn't know?
I didn't know. I mean, I knew that there was a controversy surrounding the issue, but I didn't know how much grief she got from, you know, from everyone. When I started doing this film, everyone was like, the first thing so many people asked was not like, how are you going to tell the story of this beautiful, amazing career woman who shattered glass ceilings and created, you know, the most lucrative magazine issue in publishing history? It was like, are you gonna address the controversy? Are you gonna address the controversy? And it's like, yes, we are, because that's like part of the story. But like, Julie got that all the time. Like, I stepped in her shoes.
Wow.
And you could see in some of the news interviews, she rolls her eyes.
Taking the brunt for the others whose magazines expose a great deal more than we do.
She gets that question all the time, and it's an important question, but she's so much more than that. She's a woman. She's a human being. She's got a full life and story, and what she did was beyond whatever the controversy, which is, I'm not even quite sure I get it under this lens. I mean, I get it because it's the
controversy in terms of objectification of women versus empowerment of women, essentially.
I think what it is, and I think the scholar Michael McCambridge said it in the film. He said, you know, what happens when you put a woman in a bathing suit in a sports magazine? They don't say male, but I guess it's, you know, it was known at the time as a male sports magazine. It's not anymore.
Right.
And the women that were doing it, we're not doing it to turn men on. They were doing it to be sporty and because they were models and because they felt beautiful and to work with Julie, and they were creating pictures of art.
Not a picture of her bum, but a picture where you see her bum.
No.
Don't want that.
No, I think the way she's doing it's 3/4 a little cover. The rest is late. I get all the now feminist women asking me.
At the time, it was controversial with some people because they felt like they want to see athletes. They don't want to see women in bathing suits in their magazine. We've changed so much because now you can, with social media, you can control your image. It's not a man who's choosing the shots. And Julie talks about this in the documentary, where she would kind of take the gratuitous shots. You know, she would pull those slides and never really show them to the men she was working for. And she like worked, it was all men she worked for. And she she figured out how to navigate that system and to do it successfully, and also do it in a way where the models felt protected and they knew that if Julie was creating this shot, it was going to be a beautiful shot.
Julie always had such a story and a creative vision for all of the shoots and all of the images. And I think that's something that sometimes in this day and age, there's not as much effort or as much creative artistry put into content. And I think I personally was inspired to bring that back and, you know, really tell a story with whatever you're doing.
It's fabulous that you're saying that. And Kim Alexis, when I interviewed her, and unfortunately this is not in the movie, but and I tried to get it in, but she was saying like, now it's too easy. Like, you know, they want you to take your pictures, put them online, do the lighting, do your makeup, where back then, yeah, it was a process. It was an art form. You know, Julie would hire the models. She would location scout for 4 weeks. She had a budget to do that. She would bring props. She would paint boats to match bathing suits. She would go to fashion shows all year long, and every bathing suit designer wanted to be in the issue. So it's just like anything else. Like when you were asking me, my process as a documentarian, her process was the same thing. It's like putting it all together, getting the right model, getting the right bathing suit, getting the right location, getting the right photographer, and then hoping the magic happens. And she was, you know, a genius at that, because the 10,000 slides that I found and have digitized, I mean, they're one after the other. It was hard. The hardest thing about this film was like choosing which photos to choose from, because there were so many amazing slides and material.
It's so incredible. Good things take time. I love that quote. It's relevant.
Good things really do take time, and you're right. I think I'm really happy that this film is speaking to like your generation, and I'm surprised. I didn't know.
Really?
You know? Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome because, you know, I knew it would speak to my generation because we grew up with it. We knew about this, you know, we knew about the Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Issue was, you went to college and the posters were on every college boy's wall. Like you would get the issue. It was a big deal. It was, you know, it was huge. I mean, Entertainment Tonight would just do you know, you never knew who was going to be on the cover, and it was covered by every major news, you know, outlet. And I love that the younger generations of women are connecting to Julie's story, and I love that you're understanding. Yeah, it's about process, and I think with Julie, that's why it was so successful, because she took her time, she created art, and she had a process. And when you see those photos, you see all of that in there.
What advice do you have to aspiring artists, directors, producers?
Wow. I think it's when you're starting out to make yourself invaluable, like just really, it's working hard and making yourself like just being there, saying yes, showing up with a great attitude, not causing any issues. Like you're there, anyone on set, when I produce and I don't direct, you're there to support the director's vision, and you're there to make their life easier, not harder. And it's the people that show up that do that I'll hire again and again and work with. And, you know, you're all creating this one work of art that hopefully, you know, will speak to an audience or speak to generations like you. So, you know, it's a collaboration, and knowing that this is a collaborative art, and also just, you know, like what Rishamba said, just study, know the work, do your research. You know, it's 24/7 work. It doesn't stop, and but it's not work when you're passionate about it. Yeah.
And when you feel like you need more inspiration, do you have something that you do or a process that you go through?
I go to my books. I have all these different books. I read Rick Rubin. I read books on documentary filmmaking. I read books on writing, on form. That's where I get inspiration. Or I'll watch a film. I'll watch another documentary, and kind of explore, how did they do it? How did they tackle this? And then sometimes you're learning something new. It's not in a book, and you just have to go with your gut. I think that I've studied this my whole life, and I've made so many mistakes or that I've learned from, and I've learned how to listen to my instinct. And that feels really good with this film, is that it's so far the way people are responding to the film, it's telling me my instinct was right. And how empowering is that? Because so many people want to give you a note and knock you off your instinct and make you question your instinct. And it's not to say don't listen to notes. Notes are wonderful, but in the end, you're creating this work of art. You're the one who has to stand up for it. You're the one getting reviewed. So in the end, you also really have to stand up for that instinct.
I love that so much. That's such good advice for me as well. Sometimes you doubt it, you kind of like, oh, is that my intuition? What is that? But
I know. I mean, and we're told, take these notes, listen to this person, listen to that. Of course, listen to everyone, but in the end, listen to yourself.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content from My Time Movie Network.